action. They're lying to the American people when they say that. It was an unprecedented military action. And yes,
the Secret Service is confirming one person.
You know, a lot of Cubans were killed yesterday. You know that. A lot of Cubans were killed.
You know how many?
The bodyguards. No, they're looking, but there was a lot of death on the other side. No death on our side, but there was a lot of death on the other side, unfortunately. But a lot of Cubans were killed yesterday, trying to protect him. Colombia is very sick, too, run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States. And he's not going to be doing it very long, let me tell you.
What does that mean? He's not going to be doing it very long.
He's not doing it very long. He has cocaine mills and cocaine factories. He's not going to be doing it very long.
So there will be an operation by the U.S.
It sounds good to me.
Secretary Rubio mentioned...
You know why? Because they kill a lot of people, yeah.
Secretary Rubio mentioned Cuba yesterday in his remarks. Does the U.S. have a plan to do so?
Well, Cuba always survived because of Venezuela. Now they won't have that money coming in. They won't have the income coming in. You know, a lot of Cubans were killed yesterday. You know that. A lot of Cubans were killed.
Do you know how many?
The bodyguards. No, they're looking. But there was a lot of death on the other side. No death on our side. But there was a lot of death on the other side, unfortunately.
You just wait for Cuba. Cuba is a communist dictatorship that's killed priests and nuns. They've preyed on their own people. Their days are numbered. We're going to wake up one day, I hope in 26, in our backyard, we're going to have allies in these countries doing business with America, not narco-terrorist dictators killing Americans. This is a big frigging day. And everybody in the world is thinking differently than they were just a few days ago because of what you did.
Cuba is ready to fall. You know?
Yes.
Cuba looks like it's ready to fall. I don't know if they're going to hold out. But Cuba now has no income. They got all of their income from Venezuela, from the Venezuelan oil. They're not getting any of it. And Cuba literally is ready to fall. And you have a lot of great Cuban Americans.
Yes.
The president isn't going to have a fact-based discussion with the American people. The president's in the business of shaping perceptions. And that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to spin this as a great win for American national security because we have eliminated, one of the main sources of the illegal flow of narcotics to the United States. Now, this is, of course, a lie. Venezuela is not the main source. Colombia, Mexico, they come from a lot of places. No fentanyl comes from Venezuela. It all comes across the Mexican border, or at least the majority of it. If we had a fact-based conversation, the president would be shown to be a liar. But that's not, again, I don't mean to be insulting too many people, but I'm going to insult a lot of people right now. MAGA, the MAGA movement, is comprised of some of the most ignorant people in the world about the world we live in. They know nothing about the world, and they don't care about the world. They're this America First, a mantra that's out there, disguises a whole host of sins, and one of the greatest sins is disguised as sin of ignorance.
לגבי ונצואלה, אני רוצה להביע את תמיכת הממשלה כולה בהחלטה הנחושה והפעולה הנחושה של ארצות הברית להחזיר חירות וצדק גם לאזור הזה של העולם. אני חייב להגיד שבכלל באמריקה הלטינית כרגע יש מהפך שאנחנו רואים אותו בכמה וכמה מדינות שחוזרות לציר האמריקני ולא במפתיע גם לקשר עם מדינת ישראל. אנחנו מברכים על כך, אנחנו מברכים את הנשיא טראמפ על החלטתו.
It wasn't necessary because this was not an invasion. We didn't occupy a country. This was an arrest operation. This was a law enforcement operation. He was arrested on the ground in Venezuela by FBI agents, read his rights, and removed from the country. I encourage everyone. I know it's Sunday, people are busy, but the indictments have now been unsealed. People should read this indictment. They should read this indictment. They should read what this man did for 50.
Rand Paul has been implicated as one of the politicians who has been taking millions of dollars from the Maduro regime, according to a high-ranking government source. The Kentucky senator was named as a central figure on a reported Venezuela list of U.S. politicians allegedly receiving multi-million-dollar payments from Maduro's regime and narco-trafficking networks, according to that high-ranking Venezuelan.
I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Ha, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors unto our apostle elders, which rule Great Millstone well, and Shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel, Wa Abba Babal. Alright, so I just put those videos together showing you that, Revelation 13 is in motion. Verses 9 on down, it says in Revelation 13 and 9, if any man have an ear, let him hear. So understand what I'm saying, okay? The so-called white man, Esau Edom, is the red devil the Bible speaks of, and they're coming down with great wrath, knowing that they have but a short time. So they're using the sword, which is their weapon of destruction, whether it's a gun or whether it's a missile. It says in Revelation 13 and 10, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. All right, the saints are the Israelites sanctified by the word of Yahweh, the holy scriptures which speak of his son Yahweh Shai. And this is what we're doing as we wait on Yahweh to send Yahweh Shai. It says in Revelation 14 and 12, here's the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Yahweh and the faith of Yahweh Shai. So we have the word of Yahweh, and it speaks of Yahweh Shai. We believe in Yahweh sending his son Yahweh Shai back. And so we're purifying ourselves by the Holy Spirit, all right, which we're being given faith to move in such a way in this generation. It's a gift, all right. The Lord is giving us the gift of faith, all right. Now, Revelation 13, verse 11, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. So the two horns on this beast is the Republican Party and the Democratic Party of America. The beast is America. Like a lamb. They act like they're saving the world, like if they're philanthropists, but in fact, they're devils. All right? It says, and he spake as a dragon, which war is in his heart. All right, they're pushing draconian law. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed, which America is the second leg of the pagan Roman Empire. It's been reincarnated. And America replaced the fallen empire of the pagan Roman. All right. So now that wickedness is coming through America, which America is the whore that rides the beast being the European Union, which together they have NATO. All right. And so that head on the beast was wounded unto death the Roman head, Rome fell, the pagan Roman Empire fell, and eventually after the Renaissance, the rebirth of the so-called white race, they have reincarnated Rome all over again, and it's America. And just as they're doing now, they're going throughout the earth using their sword to take land, take resources, to convince people by fear-mongering to serve their belly, all right, to serve the so-called white man and his image, which is the system that he's setting up worldwide using his sword. It says in Revelation 13, verse 13, and he did great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, which this is his MO on earth. He literally calls in for hellfire, and he has missiles, a great sword, all right, which he's been given the nuclear missile, which this invention is going to be his downfall. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles, like his media, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, which the world is, in their mind, they can't make war with this beast, right? So he's able to talk all kinds of shit about, taking these other countries, right? Even there was talk about Greenland, and they said, if Babylon the Great was to try to invade Greenland, this would end NATO, which we prophesied through the Holy Scriptures, that it says that NATO is going to turn and burn this whore with fire, nuclear missiles. So all these things they're talking about is going to come to pass, and it's going to end with America becoming a lake of fire, because its allies and enemies, NATO nations, UN nations, and BRIC nations, will end up returning the fire, right? Because America has shot missiles upon these different places, which it's going to lead to America receiving the same. This time, though, nuclear missiles. The prophecies is that America is going to be destroyed by nuclear missiles shot by its allies and enemies from every direction. It's going to lose World War III. All right? It says, verse 14, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles, which they have the technology to deceive, like their AI or their drones. All right. It says, which ye have power to do in the sight of the beast, which the NATO nations support America, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image, the system, to the beast. And that's what they're doing right now. They're pretty much saying, we're going to go in there and we're going to control how things operate in these countries. Right? So that's what they're doing, that they should make an image to the beast. So their system should match America's system, which is in the image of Rome, which had the wound by a sword and did live. It replaced Rome. America is the new Rome. All right. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, which we're seeing it, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. You see? So they're moving like that right now. Right? They're speaking as a dragon. I just showed you a bunch of videos of these Edomites, right? Which the politicians are nothing but a latex glove for the filthy hand of the elite of the so-called white race. All right, which the biblical name of the so-called white race is Edom, their forefather Esau. All right, it says, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed, which eventually they're going to bring out an implantable microchip and make it mandatory worldwide for buying and selling, for IDing yourself, for identification. It's called an RFID, implantable microchip, which you have Elon Musk, the owner of Neuralink, coming out saying that they're going to mass produce and mass chip in 2026 people, all right, not animals, all right, but people. And this is prophesied that there would be the mark of the beast, right? And the devil, the so-called white race, the wicked that are ruling the world, would require that you have the mark of the beast, the implantable microchip, to be part of their system. And this is why they're going digital. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, which is that so-called white man, Esau Edom, the wicked that ruled the world with the sword. And his number is 666, Chi Xi Stigma, which is the Greek alphabet, and it goes back to the implantable microchip and them using a syringe to cut out the flesh to implant the chip inside your body, which in that chip will be a barcode system, which the barcode system, it has the number 666 in it, all right, which they've already barcoded everything that they sell you. When you go to the store, they scan that barcode, and that barcode, then there's a number 666 in the barcode, all right, and it goes back to the branding. When they were Greeks and Roman Edomites, they would brand their slaves, all right? This is what they're doing now. They're trying to brand the slaves, all right? And it tells you in Revelation 14:9, anyone that accepts that, being an Israelite, you're going to be in the lake of fire. And that's America's destruction. That's the future prophecy in the Holy Scriptures, for this great horror. It says in Revelation 14:9, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh, sending his son Yahushai, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, which the cup of his indignation is America, and America is going to be turned into a nuclear lake of fire, and there's going to be no mercy at the return of his son. Yahweh is going to send his son Yahushai back to save the Israelites, and it's only a remnant, all right, for the majority in America will accept that implantable microchip trying to save their life. It says, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, which we're going to go up into what you know as a so-called UFO and look down as this destruction is happening. We're going to be changed, given bodies that don't die, that don't sin, and we're going to watch and rejoice as the Lord destroys the wicked and them that do wickedly. All right? It says, and the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, which this land will never be occupied again. It will be a desert that smokes forever, up forever and ever. And they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Which they made movies about this. They got the movie Marked, Implanted. There was even Edomites I shared on this channel. about them, talking about this implantable device and how it will be able to take over your mind, and they'll be able to pretty much shut you down when they want, right? They'll pretty much be in control of you, and you'll pretty much be given over, because the Lord, he's going to give everyone their heart's desire, all right? And the ones that desire to be with the devil, you're going to receive the punishment that devil receives, which is nuclear destruction. It says in Revelation 16:1, and I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of our power, Yahweh, through his son Yahushai, upon the earth. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a nauseum, meaning a stinky, disgusting, and grievous, a painful sore, which it could be sores, upon the men which had the mark of the beast, which you're going to take that implantable microchip, and it's going to betray you. It's going to cause you to become severely ill. And upon them which worshipped his image. So there's going to be a plague put upon the people that worship the image of the beast and receive his mark. That mark is that implantable microchip. All right. The image of the beast is the system that they're setting up with the sword, right? And they're going to enforce that you have to have an implantable microchip. Once again, that implantable microchip is going to betray you, and you're not going to get rest day or night, because it's going to be painful and your flesh is going to be rotting disgustingly. It says in Revelation 15:1, and I saw another sign. Oh, and you could read about this happening even with the trial runs of Elon Musk with Neuralink. All right, they had many plagues that came upon the people and animals that participated in the experiments of Neuralink. It says, and I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues. For in them is filled up the wrath of Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai. And I saw as it were a sea of glass, the ozone layer, mingled with fire, the nuclear destruction that's going to be so great. And them that had gotten the victory over the beast, over the so-called white man's plans, and over his image, the beast system he's trying to establish on the earth, and over his mark, which he's trying to enforce, the implantable microchip, the mark of the beast, being made mandatory for buying and selling, and over the number of his name, standing on the sea of glass, having the harps of Yahweh and his son Yahushai, and they sing the song of Moses, the servant of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai, and the song of the Lamb, saying, great and marvelous are thy works, Lord Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai Almighty. Just and true are thy ways, thou King of saints. Who shall not fear thee, O Lord, and glorify thy name? For thou only art holy, for all nations shall come and worship before thee, for thy judgments are made manifest. Which we prophesy of the judgments, and only by knowing these judgments do you know Yahweh. That's Exodus 9, not Exodus, Psalm 9, and it says, verse 16, the Lord Yahweh is known by the judgment which he executed. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. Higion, Selah. Higion means that they're meeting in secret to pretty much set up snares for the righteous. Selah means to think about that they're going to fall into their own traps, right? They invented the nuclear missile, but it's going to fall on their head. It's going to destroy their kingdom, leading to their captivity, right? Which these nations are going to go into slavery under the Israelites. And then Esau, according to biblical prophecy, will be made extinct. Selah. Shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. Wa abba babal.